In this e-content study material, I am going to discuss domestic violence in Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie belongs to the most prominent of a procession of critically acclaimed young Anglophone authors who have succeeded in attracting a new generation of readers to African literature. She is considered as a global feminist icon. Adichie was born on September 15, 1977 in Enugu, Nigeria. Adichie studied medicine and pharmacy at the University of Nigeria. After a year and a half, Adichie relocated to the United States to continue her studies. She received master's degrees from both Johns Hopkins University and Yale University. Although she did not originally study literature, Adichie nourished her long-standing interest in writing. She worked as an editor for her university's student-led publication and published both a collection of poems and a play in literary journals. These are her works and the awards she has received. Let us now see a brief summary of the novel. Her first novel, Purple Hibiscus, is set in the political turmoil of 1990s Nigeria. The narrative is told from the perspective of a 15-year-old girl, Kambili Ashike, living in Enugu, Nigeria, with her father, Eugene, mother Beatrice, and older brother Jaja. Papa, a wealthy factory owner, is an active philanthropist in public and an upstanding Catholic, but at home is a strict and violent authoritarian. He publishes a newspaper, The Standard, which is the only paper willing to criticize the new Nigerian head of state. The novel begins on Palm Sunday. Jaja refuses to receive communion at church and Papa throws his missile, breaking Mama's beloved figurines. In the subsequent chapters, Kambili explains the events leading up to this scene. A key period in their life is the time Kambili and her brother spent at the house of her father's sister, Ifema, and her 3 children. This household offers a marked contrast to what Kambili and Jaja are used to. It practices a completely different form of Catholicism, making for a happy liberal place that encourages its members to speak their minds. In this nurturing environment, both Kambili and Jaja become more open and more able to voice their own opinions. While at Aunt Ifema's place, Kambili also falls in love with a young priest, Father Amadi. Ultimately, a critical mass is reached in terms of the lives of Kambili, Jaja, and the existence of their family as it once was. Unable to cope with Eugene's continual violence, Beatrice poisons him. Jaja takes the blame for the crime and ends up in prison. In the meantime, Aunt Ifema and her family move to America after she is unfairly dismissed from her job as lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Now moving on to the theme of domestic violence. What is domestic violence? Domestic violence is not physical violence alone. It is any behavior the purpose of which is to gain power and control over a spouse or intimate family member. There are different types of abuses: physical abuse, sexual abuse, and psychological abuse. Gender-based violence is an issue that has become a part of the modern society, cutting across cultures, race, ethnicity, and status. In Adichie's Purple Hibiscus, gender-based violence manifests in the form of domestic violence projected through the Eugene Ashike family. Eugene, revered as a model citizen and family man, turns out to be extremely abusive in his home. He dominates, subjugates, batters, and inflicts injury on his wife, children, sister, and father physically and psychologically. Here are the incidents which show Eugene's bouts of physical violence. Mama has endured great hardship at the hand of the uncompromisingly cruel Papa. On several occasions, Papa has beaten Beatrice. One day, after Mass, the family visits Father Benedict, their white priest. As Mama is pregnant, she feels sick and doesn't want to leave the car. When they return home, Papa beats Mama for refusing until she has a miscarriage. Within the narrative of the novel, Mama loses 2 pregnancies at Papa's hands. The other miscarriages may have been caused by these beatings as well. When she miscarries, Papa makes the children say special novenas for their mother's forgiveness. Even though he is to blame, he insinuates it is Mama's fault. Eugene subjects his children to extreme physical violence in the guise of discipline. He slaps Camberley for getting to the car late when the driver picks her up from school, lashes her with a leather belt for breaking a Eucharist fast, mutilates Judge's left hand and deforms his little finger for missing 2 questions in a catechism test, scalds Camberley's tender feet with boiling water for being in possession of a great-grandfather's picture, and worse, for trying to prevent its destruction, a situation which earns her broken ribs and internal injury. Eugene subjects his family to various forms of psychological trauma. He enforces a strict study regimen which denies his children many of the little joys of childhood, such as wearing play clothes, watching television, or listening to music. They are denied regular contact with their aunt and cousins. Eugene does not speak to his father because his father sticks to his traditional religion and won't become Catholic. He disallows his children also from developing a close relationship with their grandfather. Thus, Eugene not only denies his family the joy of interacting with his father, but also his father the love, security, and financial assistance that he should have by virtue of his position as the legitimate father of a wealthy son, a right which in the African society is accorded great respect and reverence. Eugene's psychological violence has a negative impact on the family members. Camberley is severely handicapped in her interaction in the absence of a father's love, care, friendship, encouragement, and support. Camberley turns to Father Amadi, on whom she develops a crush to fill the void created by Eugene, her father. Judge's anger manifests in his open defiance of his father through his refusal to receive communion in church. His irreverent references to the host as wafer and the touch of the priest as nauseating irritates Eugene. However, this incident marks the beginning of Jaja's rebellion against his father and religion. At the end, Jaja assumes the role of protector, taking the blame where possible to shield his mother and sister from the wrath of his father with others, lacking the ability to communicate confidently and openly with those around her. Camberley's near-death experience serves as the eventual catalyst that propels Beatrice to assert herself on behalf of her children or risk losing them. Ultimately, she poisons Papa because she can see no other way out. The abuse has repressed her to the point that she must resort to murder to escape. With Eugene's death, her dignity, freedom, and security, and that of her children, are restored. Eugene, the man of integrity, the bravest man, the philanthropist, is the same man who scalds his innocent daughter's feet, maims his son, batters his wife, denies his sister of material support and encouragement, and turns his back on his aged father when he needs him most. All these atrocities he endeavors to carefully and effectively conceal from the public in order to preserve his hypocrisy and dignity. Eugene's family is, therefore, entitled to the same dignity and rights he accords himself. Beatrice, who represents the African woman, represents the future of the African child. She therefore deserves to be respected, supported, honored, not degraded, rejected, and dehumanized. Adichie highlights a very important aspect of family life, parenthood, and points out through Purple Hibiscus that the decisions parents make about their roles in families will have a deep and lasting influence on the lives and personalities of their children. Adichie's Purple Hibiscus as an impressive first novel which transcends national relevance and depicts the reactions of a family as its members react to domestic violence in their search for personal freedom. Thank you.